Hi there, I'm Lori, aka Jazzy Cat.
Jazzy James here.
And welcome to Jazzy Cat's Music Box.
This is episode 1 of our podcast.
Yes.
And so we thought we would start out with going over some of the topics that we're going to be covering during the podcast and why we're doing the podcast to begin with.
Yeah, very much so. So first and foremost, I feel like I've been lacking the creative outlet that, we were doing a lot of videos before life shifted. We've done a lot of things since we were doing videos and wanted to really get that creative outlet again.
And the fun, interesting thing about this video and the podcast is that this is something that you've always wanted to do.
Always.
And we did other things instead of doing this. So now we're finally getting to the things that we wanted to do.
Yes. Very much so. And the goal, just like if you've been with us for a while, most of our videos that we've ever posted have been mostly unscripted. I mean, really unscripted and mostly unedited. Little bits of editing, but mostly pretty raw.
Very raw.
Yeah.
And the good thing about that is you do get like the real Jazzy Cat, right? So whatever thought and opinion and something, whatever comes to the top of your mind that you're talking about or how you passionately feel about the topic, you get to see that. So
very much so. And a lot of real talk, how we feel about things music related. But I feel like a lot of people will relate to those things because I know I'm not the only person who's passionate about music. Who isn't, right?
Absolutely.
But I also have a lot of alternative opinions too. So I'm looking forward to sharing those as we go along.
Please make sure you guys are commenting on your opinions if they differ from Jazzy's opinions.
By all means, I'm always open to other opinions. I'm not necessarily willing to change mine, but I am certainly willing to hear other opinions.
So with the idea of the podcast, what are some of the topics that we're going to be covering?
Well, first and foremost, music in general, right? So things like concerts, things like why music is important to me, to us as a whole, as a general. We'll be talking about things like musicians and the good, the bad, and the ugly. Yeah.
Okay.
Venues, VIP experiences. So let's talk about sort of the beginning of like why music in general is really important.
Okay.
So you had found something the other day that brought up a nice conversation.
Well, so I was cleaning out the truck and came across a CD. Now, the CD
what kind of CD was it?
It was a CDR that you burned yourself back when that was a thing, right?
That was a thing.
So what I thought was interesting about it is you think now, okay, there's so much digital media and it's Spotify and Pandora and Apple Music and you create your playlist, but are they as tangible as a CD or a mixtape that you make yourself, right?
Isn't a mixtape just a special thing?
It is a special thing.
It really is.
It's something that you curated, and what's fun about that is you can kind of time travel, right?
Yeah.
So you can
put a time capsule.
The mixtape into your player, and you can relive emotionally what you were thinking at the time, right? Because music has a lot of emotion.
So emotional.
Right.
We'll have to tell that one story.
That one time?
The one time, you know.
I don't know that story, but we're going to tell it. I'll be surprised if you guys are. Yes. But no, so, just by going back and, having that physical media, I thought it was just interesting. Just kind of made me think about how you could, you wouldn't have that same, nostalgia feeling with a playlist that's on your phone, right? From your Spotify.
What I like about it is, it's music is like the soundtrack of your life. So when we go through these big emotional events and you have something that you really relate to, whether it was, a love or a breakup or a graduation or just any of those really emotional parts of life, maybe your niece was born and you're like, oh, this song, and it reminds me of, it's always something that brings you to that place. Sometimes you can smell the smells that you smelled at the time when you heard the song and all of those emotional attachments that come along with it. So the story is, one time we were using a playlist and we were going through sort of a one-hit wonders playlist and on a road trip. And we come across a song that I haven't heard in probably 30 years. And all of a sudden, I started crying my face off because it took me to a place where I'm driving down the street with my dad. And it just became real emotional. And it was like, I hadn't thought of the song for a long time. And it was one of those things that, like, instantaneously. And he's like, what are you crying about? What are you crying about? But it really just can take you to a place that moves you when you're not even expecting it. And it hits you.
Indeed. So we'll definitely have some more stories along to go with that.
Definitely.
Some of the other things that we're going to talk about musicians in general.
Yeah.
Okay. Who are your favorite musicians?
Who are the ones you don't like?
Why are these... Oh, that's a good one. Okay. But, what makes this musician stand out versus this one? A lot of maybe independent musicians will bring you some people that you probably have never heard of. But you definitely should have. Yeah. That could be a whole, topic,
definitely. We certainly like people that are big artists, and we like small artists, and we like well-known and not known, and, all of those. And from time to time, even though we talk about these playlists that are not tangible, sometimes we'll create playlists and we'll put them in the comments. This one won't have one, but... maybe moving forward, we'll try and get those to you.
Not that they're not tangible. I just don't think they have the same... They don't bring up the same nostalgia.
Right, because you can add songs to them. You could delete songs to them.
So they're always changing, so they're always current, right?
Right.
Where this was kind of like a time capsule.
Yeah, no, I agree. For sure. But with that, some of our musical journeys that we've gone on have included big artists like Journey. So I'm actually wearing this Journey t-shirt here that I've bedazzled. It's nice and sparkly. I'm not sure how much that comes across, but it's all sparkly.
You can kind of see it.
Little sparkles. And I'm going to add some video to the end of this video. So if you're listening, make sure that you check out the video on YouTube. So that way you can check out the bonus content at the end of the video if that's something you'd like to see.
And so that bonus content kind of leads into our next thing, right? So where do musicians have to play?
At venues.
At a venue, right? So one of the things that we're going to be talking about with the podcast are different types of venues: indoor venues, outdoor venues, amphitheaters, stadiums, all kinds of different places that you could go to see concerts.
And maybe some of those venues have incidences.
Well, that was where I was leading it to. So you were recently at the Journey concert.
Yes.
And give a little glimpse of your story, like what happened.
Yeah, so you may have already heard about it. This was about a week ago now. And they had a fire under the stage. And it was at the rodeo, which if you haven't been to a rodeo, it's an interesting situation. It is definitely an interesting opening act to a concert. Not necessarily my favorite opening act, because I feel it's a little bizarre. That is in my opinion. I know a lot of people love it, but I feel it's a little barbaric. But at the end of the rodeo itself, they pull out a stage, a mobile stage, and they have a concert. And this concert was for Journey. So there's 70,000 people in this venue.
That's a big venue.
It's a huge venue because it's a sports stadium. So big venue. Who plays there?
It's NRG Stadium, isn't it?
It's NRG. I think it's the Texans.
Okay.
I don't know. Music is my thing. Sports are not. So in this, I had made a couple of comments about it seems really hazy, like where the lights were hitting. It was very foggy, more so than you would expect it to be. So I don't know if that's any reality of what was going on. But about 3 songs in, they're doing Don't Stop Believing. The music shut off. The screens went off. The fans did not stop believing, kept singing. then started the next verse and then said, I think that maybe something's wrong because this is definitely longer than they usually have the audience sing. And then you see some commotion going on, and you see the guys coming off of the stage. There was a really sweet moment, which is what I'm going to put the video at the end, but a really sweet moment where Neil Sean's wife, McHale, went to the stage and walked off with him. And it was just a really sweet moment.
That is nice.
Yeah. So I'm going to include that video because it was kind of interesting. And then right after that, there are some people who run up to the stage with fire extinguishers.
Exciting time. So you never know what you're going to get at a concert.
You never know. So I was really sad that they canceled. But I mean, at that point, there's what can you do?
I'm sure they'll redo something.
Yeah, and Dean Castronovo said like the fire was like underneath his drum kit. Like, oh my gosh. So
his drums were on fire, literally.
That's right, man. And you would think that it was just because of all that.
Yep. So that was definitely an experience.
Yes, definitely an experience.
One of the other things that we're going to be talking about in the podcast are VIP experiences.
Yes.
Now, that wasn't quite a VIP experience.
It was not.
But VIP experiences are definitely part of the concert going and the music genre.
Yes.
And there's just something to be said about a VIP experience, right? Like you can pay money for a ticket, right? But VIP experience is really what it is, right? So you're really, you can go watch a show or you can experience a show.
Mm-hmm.
So what are some of the reasons, like why would you, give them a sample, like why would you want to upgrade to a VIP experience?
So there's a couple of different kinds of VIP tickets, right? So there's the kind of VIP tickets that are just VIP tickets in the sense that they're just better seats, right? Like these 3 rows are VIP, so you just have a better seat. And that's okay. Then you're going to have those merchandise VIPs, which are going to have some special merchandise you can't buy at the merch stand. And it usually gives you some kind of like early access or maybe a drink pass, things like that. And then, of course, there's the meet and greets. And a meet and greet, let me tell you, can change the way that you feel about a band or an artist. 100% can change your opinions.
Positive or negative.
Positive or negative. And it's hard because, there's stories about how, like, you should never meet your idols because, like, people have in the past been known to, like, leave a bad taste in your mouth, If you have this bad experience with an artist, it really can change how you feel about the artist moving forward. Even if you love their music, it doesn't matter if they are not a good person. I've never had a meet and greet with a specific person, but when we get into people we don't like, do I have people? I have a list. But we certainly have some great experiences that we'll share in depth as we go along. If you've been following, New Kids on the Block are my love. I love New Kids on the Block. And they love me too. I'm convinced.
They do reply in your videos.
Yeah, well,
on your
Donnie,
posts.
Donnie has replied to comments. Donnie has shared my posts sometime. I think twice. Joey has shared one of my posts. So has Danny. So
speaking
my boys.
of New Kids on the Block.
New Kids on the Block.
Where is your favorite way to what is your favorite way to experience New Kids on the Block?
And please mind the weird face that I just made. We just had a cat with some zoomy just pass by and startle me. But the best way to enjoy New Kids on the Block, and I mean, you don't get more VIP than a cruise with your band. There's all kinds of really cool music-related cruises, and that was just a really great experience. So I'm going to have stories and videos and pictures to share as we go along, and of course I'll post some of these things on Instagram. Some of them are already posted on my Instagram, so if you feel like looking through some pictures in advance, you're welcome to do that, aka Jazzy Cat.
And that information will be in the description on the video.
Sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and it's part of our page. And then, of course, we have an Instagram for Jazzy Cat's Music Box as well. So beyond that, we're also going to talk about things like this here.
So musicians need music.
They need music.
They need gears.
They need gear.
Not gears.
Gears.
Gear.
Instruments. So and the goal with this is to be able to sort of talk about, we like to look at guitars and like instruments, sort of like fine art.
Okay, absolutely.
Yeah, so sort of like the difference of not just the playing, which we are more collectors than we are players.
Hey, we're getting better.
We are getting better. We are getting better.
Wait till you reach the E minor band.
That's right. We can play anything you want as long as it is E minor.
Anywhere on the neck, though, you see. Okay, like 3 places on the neck. Okay, 2.
I'm going with a solid, like, E minor. But we also really are looking forward to being able to sharing music and our love of music and our experiences with like-minded people like yourselves.
Absolutely. And if you guys have ideas, we would love to hear from you. So anything that's music related, stuff that you like, stuff that you don't like, good experiences, bad experiences, concert fires. Maybe you met your favorite artist that you thought they were your childhood idol, and they turn out to be a really big jerk.
Let you down.
And they didn't want to wait, even though you waited 6 hours behind the venue at the tour bus.
This
for
doesn't sound like an experience that we've had, does it?
And then they refuse to come out to sign a little paper.
Yeah, you know what?
You know.
And then you don't listen to them for like 6 years, but then you're like, man, I really do like their music. And then, anyway, I digress. But that's what's going to happen. So, part of the thing with music is also like justifying your future experiences. And just like having those experiences with artists, it can certainly impact your desire to have more interactions or more experiences with an artist. So how they perform could impact your experience. Maybe if they do every single song that they have in a different arrangement where you cannot sing along with it. Counting Crows, I'm looking at you. Oh my gosh. And but so if you have any questions, if you have comments, if you have music related things you want to talk about, maybe you have an indie artist that you want me to check out.
Oh, definitely.
Maybe it's not an indie artist and you want me to check them out. Unless there's someone I don't already like that's on my list. Counting Crows is not on my list. I still like Counting Crows. I just don't want to see him live anymore.
One time, you see?
One time. Sucks. So like the video.
Share the video.
Comment.
Subscribe.
Mostly subscribe.
Definitely helps us out there.
Yeah.
And as always, stay tuned for the official podcast. Episode 1 coming soon, right? This is a little preliminary,
this is going to be podcast number 1.
Yay,
this podcast. So if you're listening to this podcast on Spotify, on Apple Music, on iHeartRadio, music podcasts, check us out. We're going to put the links to the podcast in the video, and of course the podcast. The Instagram will have information for all of them as well. So check us out.
And I guess we should say thanks for tuning in.
Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching. Thanks for your support. And thanks for sticking around for all of you who have subscribed and been with us for a while. We're really looking forward to the content that we're going to continue to bring you moving forward. And stay tuned for the video, some video footage from the concert with Journey when the craziness was going on. Check out these super cool glasses that I was wearing for the Journey concert. This is the cover of Journey's Greatest Hits. Like that, if you remember that cover, back when people had actual physical CDs. So stay tuned and see you soon.
Bye.
Bye.